I've been meaning to watch
Good
this for the
comedians will
longest.
make you laugh. The best comedians will make you laugh at things you are not supposed to laugh at. Iconic comedians will transcend the punchlines, challenge
That's what
societal
you call it.
norms,
Okay.
transgress established boundaries, and continue to share their thoughts despite an uproar of negative criticism. Dave Chappelle is an iconic comedian, but he did
Yeah.
not get there easily. There have been numerous attempts to silence Dave, whether it was a heckler, an angry journalist, or a multi-billion-dollar organization, but Dave was never willing to compromise his integrity. Not for one man, not for $1. His big break in Hollywood was when Universal Pictures bought a movie Dave and Neil Brennan wrote called Half-Baked. It's a silly
Fuck with
stoner
that
comedy
movie.
reminiscent.
I did fuck with that movie. I did. I used to like that movie. It got hella good clips from that movie. Now that I think about it, is it? Nah, I ain't gonna say it's a classic. Nah, Half Baked ain't no classic though. It's a good movie. It's a funny movie, but no, it ain't no classic. That's dead. I was gonna try to say that, but no, it ain't. I watched that movie probably like 2 times and I was done. Like that was it.
Of Jay and
That shit ain't
Silent
no
Bob
classic, but
that
it's good
wasn't a
money.
huge hit, but the movie did gross $17 million against a $7 million budget and has
Okay,
become a cult classic since.
it
24-year-old
ain't no
Dave wasn't
classic to
fully
me.
happy with the way the film came out, but he was extremely proud to have his movie
It
on the
was
big
24.
screen at such a young age. From there, he started pitching a television show to various networks. Fox was interested, but they worried the show casted too many black people. More
That's
specifically, they
that's
thought the female
wow.
star of the show wasn't funny and they wanted Dave to recast her to a white actress.
It ain't no. I guess that was in the beginning, but ain't no what you call it? No female main character.
Dave simply denied, because this particular sitcom was based on his life, and he grew up in an all-black household. A few days after that meeting, Variety posted an article that claimed he was playing the race card. Dave said, "This network built itself on black viewers, and what they're saying is white people are narcissistic. They don't want to watch black people. They want to watch themselves. It tells every black artist no matter what you do, you need whites to succeed."
Damn.
Fox claims they were making a light suggestion to add a different perspective, a point of view that allows a larger audience to appreciate it. Most young people in the industry would just accept the request of a major corporation, but Dave was unashamed of his decision and was willing to tell the world exactly how he felt. "I felt like I was beaten up and completely degraded," he said. "It's disgusting, and it made me
But
want
Dave
to
been standing
vomit."
on
It pretty
business
much
for a
took
long
Dave one
time.
bad
Okay.
experience to know this whole Hollywood thing is overrated. To make matters worse, his father was on his deathbed. While traveling back and forth from LA to Ohio, he realized how much he loved the small town of Yellow Springs. He describes it as something so real in contrast to Hollywood's powerful illusion. Dave purchased a farm out in the town with 3,000 people because he can focus on his family and friends. He can have real, genuine interactions with people who aren't trying to gain something from him. Sadly, his father passed away at the young age of 59. William
Oh
David
damn.
Chappelle III was a veteran, college professor, and an organizer in the civil rights movement in Ohio.
Oh yeah. That's I remember that. Dave Chappelle ended up coming out a long time afterwards. After fucking how long he been famous now? Motherfucker had everybody thinking he was from the ghetto. Cause that's what tell you. I thought Dave was from the ghetto. I ain't gonna lie.
Although young Dave lost the man
He
he
grew
would
up
go
in a
to
good
for all of his
neighborhood and shit.
advice, he
Like,
knew
come on,
that his
man.
father would want
Why
him
you
to
lie about
stand up
that?
and speak out for what he thought was right. Dave was not going to let anyone walk all over him, because Comedy Central was about to try their best at controlling him. Dave was convinced that after his father had passed, he was done with the show business, and he was just going to do stand-up. His first hour-long comedy special, Killin' Them Softly, released on HBO, and
Fire.
many consider this to be one of the best stand-up
Yeah.
specials
Oh
of
yeah.
all
That.
time.
Yeah.
People
That one. That one was fucking fire. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was one of his best ever. Cause nowadays he can't even stand up. It can't top none of that shit he be doing back in the day. That I don't really fuck with him now. I ain't gonna lie. He ain't as funny to me. Like, it's something like I guess it's the jokes he trying to tell and all that. They don't hit as hard as the ones back in the day. But I guess it's hard to stand on that when you what you call it? Damn. When you done dropped the classics already, it's hard to compete with that. So it's just not as
knew
funny.
Dave was a generational
I ain't gonna lie.
talent. He knew it. He could not give up on this dream. He started writing a variety show with various skits and sketches that were personal and relatable to the common
One of the
man. He
best
knew he had
TV
something
shows
big,
ever.
and after a few years in 2003, he decided to pitch a new show titled The Chapple Show, which got picked up by Comedy Central for 2 seasons. The Chapple Show is regarded by many as the greatest sketch comedy show in history.
Yep.
Dave would open the show performing stand-up
For
to a
sure.
live audience and then shift the joke into a pre-recorded sketch. All of his bits were rooted in a great deal of irony, basically conveying the exact opposite of what you would expect, like this employee training video that teaches you exactly how to get fired.
Getting to work.
First of all, never show up on time.
He created characters that would earn die-hard fan bases, like Tyrone
Tyrone.
Biggums, who was, well, pretty much...
I knew he'll go see Tyrone, bro. Who else a classic on the Chappelle Show? It's damn. I can't even think about nothing like to Tyrone. Like was the biggest stand out of the whole show. That was his shit was fucking hilarious when he did Tyrone, and damn. When he did the pimp, Charlie Murphy. That was a classic right there. I ain't gonna lie, that Charlie Murphy one is a classic for sure.
just a crackhead. Or Clayton Bigsby, the world's only black
Yeah,
white
but he only had one
supremacist.
skit, though.
Due to his blindness,
One
he
or
didn't
two
know that
skits.
he was actually black. Sometimes his characters were just over-exaggerated versions of real people, like Lil Jon or Rick James.
Hey, from what I heard about Rick James, they say that ain't no exaggeration. That boy Rick James was really wilding like that back in the day. He was a pretty motherfucker, in his opinion. He was a pretty motherfucker, Rick James. That's what he said. Damn. Yeah, that boy went lying.
Enjoy yourself.
Edgy isn't even a good enough word to describe Dave's humor. He was way over the edge with some of these bits. The most shocking of them all was perhaps the Hard R family, a rich suburban white family whose last name is the racial slur.
I don't remember this one.
Why, it's Custard, our colored milk man. And it's my favorite family to deliver milk to. The niggas.
The very first episode of Chappelle's Show tackled an extremely risky subject, basically becoming a mission statement for the program. If you don't like this,
That was
you won't
fire,
like
I ain't gonna
anything
lie.
else. Something like the
That
Chappelle
skit right
Show
there.
will never air on TV ever again, but at the time, people loved it. Now, even in 2004, the mainstream media was against shocking, vulgar, and risky entertainment, but they had a little tolerance. The solution back then was
shit.
put it on after hours, like after 9 p.m. when the kids are asleep. The Chappelle Show averaged 3.1 million
Damn.
viewers per episode in 2004, just shy of Saturday Night Live's 3.7 million. However, Dave's impact on culture at that time far exceeded SNL. He was a superstar comedian at a time where comedy was missing superstars. Dave's show saved comedy.
But I ain't gonna lie, that's probably the best skit right there. That Charlie Murphy right there, that was probably one of his best skits. I don't care what nobody say. When Charlie Murphy was telling them stories and Prince and all, bro, that's the most mean shit out there. That's one of the best ones.
Comedy Central from failing and made them a ton of money.
Five
Chappelle's
fingers
Show
said to the
Season 2
face.
Uncensored has
That
broken
shit was
both the
fucking
first day
hilarious.
and 7-day sales records for TV on DVD, with close to 500,000 units sold on its May 24th release date and more than
Mama had
1.2
them,
million units
that
sold in
shit.
its first week out in the market. Chappelle's Show Season 1 Uncensored released last year is the best-selling
the whole
TV
DVD
on
set, now that I
DVD
think about
title,
it.
with close to 3 million copies sold. Because of the first 2 seasons' undeniable success, Comedy Central offered Dave a whopping $50 million for a new season, but instead,
$50 million, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I guess Dave Chappelle had fuck you money or something, because I don't think I'd be able to turn down no money like that. $50 million? You know how disciplined you gotta be to turn down 50 mil like that, bro. You tripping. I couldn't do it. I would have signed on that dotted line quick as hell. I ain't gonna lie.
he walked away. Like many people who are new to the entertainment industry, Dave signed a contract that he didn't fully understand. Of course, he hired a lawyer, but ultimately he knew this show was great for his career and he would make good money. What could possibly go wrong? Dave says he never got paid for the Chappelle Show because the contract said Comedy Central didn't have to pay him. This contract also said that they have the exclusive right to
No. Ain't no way. Them boys really put in the contract. We ain't gotta pay you. Bro, what? I ain't gonna lie, that's fucked up, but it's funny as fuck to me. But you know how fucked up you gotta be to say, we just go test the waters to see if he really go sign his contract without even reading the shit. Like, bruh, that shit really said we ain't gotta pay you, but we offering you 50 million, but we ain't gotta pay you. Come on now. That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
To use the name and likeness of the artist in perpetuity throughout the universe in any and all media known or invented in the future.
Bruh, ain't no way that all this was in the through the universe. Who else is going to? These boys were going crazy in this contract. Who they say through the universe? That's fucking what, aliens for the start watching Dave Chappelle? Like what the hell? These boys sending that shit through space to watch Dave Chappelle. That's crazy.
On top of them literally owning him, Dave just straight up didn't like the fame and attention.
Crazy.
He just liked comedy. But even that was getting ruined. One night while he was performing in Sacramento, California, he walked off the stage after berating his audience for constantly shouting, "I'm Rick James, bitch," which had become a catchphrase from the popular Rick James sketch on his show.
Fire.
"Stand-up is the most important thing I do, and because I'm on TV, you make it hard for me to do it," he said. "The show is ruining my life," Chappelle told the crowd. Besides requiring him to work 20 hours a day, it has made him a star, which has resulted in the inability of fans to treat him as an individual. So when Comedy Central offered him $50 million, it came with stipulations. He had to get approvals on certain jokes. He didn't have full creative control, and they worked him like a dog. It wasn't worth the money. So one day, he just walked off set and moved to South Africa, desperate to get as far away from Hollywood as possible.
I know this part. I know exactly what this part want to say. It's going to say that's when they started throwing out that boy went to South Africa to do crack and all that shit. That was wild now that I think about it. You know, say that boy really moved away just to do crack. That was crazy.
In response, Comedy Central ran a smear campaign on him, saying that he was crazy and on drugs. In May 2005, Comedy Central began promoting the anticipated debut of Chappelle's.
But I think, don't they all do that? Like, if you don't fall in line, don't they all do that? Because they had Martin Lawrence looking crazy out here at one point in time, talking about he'll run around in the drawers or something, talking about they after me and all that. They were trying to make Martin Lawrence look crazy and all that. And I sort of do believe somebody will probably after him. You know, Hollywood. I'm pretty sure there's some wild things they were doing in Hollywood just to make people look crazy. I'm pretty sure they putting people on drugs and all that, trying to make them look fucked up and all that. I 100% believe that.
Show season 3. One day later, the channel announced that the production on the show had been unexpectedly suspended. Then 1 week later, every news outlet reported that Chappelle had checked into a mental health facility in South Africa, perpetuating the narrative that he was mentally unstable. Some reports said,
"Damn, I ain't know Comedy Central did that though. I thought they would have they came out and said, yeah, he on drugs and all that." Damn. I thought they'd at least try to make it a little secret. Make it secret. Shit. Not this. These boys really posted it on the news, talking about, hey, that boy on crack.
He was even smoking crack.
I was freaked out, man, with the fame thing and being called crazy and drug addict and all these things. Scared me. Just being treated that way. Like I'm not a person anymore. You say this shit about me in front of my children, and who the f do these people think they are? And they don't know what happened.
Dave's exit from the $50 million deal was one of the most profound statements in pop culture history. He was already mega famous, but ironically, this exit made him even more famous. One 2006 article said, "These days, if Dave Chappelle merely catches a cold, it winds up in the media or on the internet." He fired back, saying he was not on drugs and he was not crazy. In fact, he was the most level-headed person out there, denying money for his sanity. "I'm not in a mental facility. Everyone around me says, 'You're a genius, you're great, that's your voice.' but I'm not sure they're right. You hear so many voices jockeying for position in your mind that you want to make sure you hear your own voice. So I figured, let me just cut myself off from everybody, take a minute and pull a Flintstone, stop a speeding car by using my bare feet as the brakes. Hollywood just couldn't fathom that someone who became famous would choose to abandon that lifestyle. He did make a short reappearance at the 48th Grammy Awards where he received a standing ovation right in front of...
In my mind, like, I don't know if I would want to stop that type of career. Like, if I done got the ball rolling, got it going this fast and coming this good, like, I don't think I want to stop that. I think I want to keep it going. I don't want to bring it to a fucking halt, because you don't never know if you could come back. You want to try to maximize all that, but he said, hey, man, it ain't worth it. And he just left. That's crazy.
The entire industry, Dave told them how he didn't want to be there.
The only thing harder than leaving show business is coming back.
Later that evening, he went to an after-party held at the home of the legendary artist Prince. Instead of talking to Mariah Carey, Common, or industry powerhouses, he sat in a chair on the back patio, only conversing with people who wanted to. He looks like he is hiding from his peers, hiding from the attention, hiding from the part of himself that is a major star. Dave said, "This ain't really my thing." After that night, Dave realized it was time to disappear, and he did just that. And nobody really heard from him for many years.
What did you do for those 10 years?
It was a humble existence. I had young children. I was raising my kids. I was living a suburban life. And then every once in a while, I get this feeling like I'm the funniest guy. I got to get out there. And I would like fly to Denver, do a week in Denver or something. And that's when you would read I was doing like these 6-hour shows. I performed like I was desperate for it. I loved it.
Yeah.
He rode across the country on a motorcycle, focused on raising his children, maintained good standing relationships with his friends. He lived an extremely normal life, just like me and most of you watching this video. Dave would only make selective appearances from 2005 to 2016. He had a few random stand-up performances here and there. One of them even broke a world record. A 6-hour and 7-minute set at the Laugh Factory became the longest comedic performance in history.
I ain't gonna lie, that's crazy. Do it 6 hours, telling straight jokes. That's hard. Shit. But you to even talk that long and even want to be on stage that long, that's
He performed
wow.
at the Oddball Comedy Tour in 2013, doing large arenas around the country. In Hartford, Connecticut, he was booed and heckled during his entire set. Until he left the stage saying this crowd was the worst one he had seen in his whole life. This bomb made Dave realize he was rusty, and he needed to get back to being funny again. So in 2014, he made a grand comeback by headlining 10 nights at New York City's iconic Radio City Music Hall. The buzz surrounding his return grew as he was interviewed on various late-night talk shows. Dave rocked the sold-out crowds every single night, selling over 60,000 tickets in total. These unforgettable shows marked his official return to the spotlight after his prolonged absence. Dave achieved a legendary status just from his Comedy Central show and one stand-up special. The comedy community as a whole was honored to have him back. He hosted Saturday Night Live during election weekend when Trump won in 2016.
Donald Trump, he did it. He's our president. I feel bad saying it. I'm staying in a Trump hotel right now. I don't know if he's gonna make a good president, but he makes a swell hotel suite, I'm gonna tell you that. Housekeeping comes in the morning, cleans my room, and I just, hey, good morning, housekeeping. Grab a big handful of pussy, say, you know. Boss said it was okay.
He ain't that funny
Citizens
no more. I'm
feared
gonna be
that
real.
the new president was going to destroy this country.
His jokes
Dave
don't
was
hit the same.
skeptical, but ended his monologue with this message.
I'm wishing Donald Trump luck, and I'm gonna give him a chance. And we, the historically disenfranchised, demand that he give us one too. Thank you very much.
Netflix announced that they would be hosting Dave for 3 specials, in which he would be receiving $20 million for each one. In a way, this can be seen as making up for the trouble he went through with Comedy Central. The Age of Spin was released on Netflix in 2017 and was met with good reviews. Months later, while headlining at Radio City Music Hall, he made multiple jokes about the transgender community. One in specific talks about Trump banning trans people from serving in the US military, in which Dave pokes fun and says that ISIS would be horrified to see trans women storming at them. Chappelle Chappelle says he doesn't understand trans people, but doesn't think that disqualifies them from being a human being that deserves a life with dignity and happiness and respect. He ended by arguing that sometimes he thinks the only reason all of us are talking about transgenders is because white men want to do it. If it was just black people and Mexicans like, hey y'all, we feel like girls inside, they'd be like, shut up, no one asked you how you felt. Dave received a lot of criticism, with many citing that it doesn't matter he is joking because they are rooted in bigotry and overgeneralizations, or they say he shouldn't joke about a topic he is uneducated on. This back and forth just perpetuated more jokes and commentary from Dave. It became a bulk of his material.
You know who hates me the most? The transgender community.
Despite the controversy, his comeback was receiving all the praise. In 2017, Chappelle received a Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album for his first two specials, The Age of Spin and Deep in the Heart of...
Album? That's what they call them, albums now? That's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. They call them albums. I ain't gonna lie. Out of all that I heard just then, the albums part was the part that fucked me up. Like, they call them albums. Why they? What would be a better word for that? Just his body of work. Shit, I don't know. The albums though, that just seemed weird. That just sounds weird.
of Texas,
say in
and
a
later that year
comedian's
would go on to receive an
standpoint.
Emmy Award and another Grammy for Outstanding Variety Special for Equanimity. He also won the
No.
Mark Twain Prize for American Humor.
I ain't gonna lie. With all these awards and all that, I sort of feel like they just dick riding. I'm gonna be real. They hopped on that dick. I ain't gonna lie. That's how I feel. Cause I feel like he was funnier back in the day. He was way more funny to me back in the day. Not now. Like, he ain't as funny to me. Like, even that, I guess that's just come with age. Cause Cat Williams. At one point, Cat Williams used to have me dying every time I seen him. All that. But nowadays, he ain't all that no more. He ain't even that funny. Who else? It's a bunch of comedians that done fell off in my mind. Damn. Damn. Oh, since I'm on the top of the comedians, might as well just go ahead and say the ones I don't like, even though a lot of people like them. Who it is? Mike Epps. I do not think Mike Epps funny at all. He funny in movies, but he is not funny in fucking comedy. Like, when he try to do stand up, he is not funny at all. I don't even see how people think he funny besides being in a movie. That's the only time I find him funny. Who else? Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker, another one that's only funny in movies to me. Chris Tucker stand-ups is trash. He is not funny at all. Trash. Steve Harvey was trash. I don't even think Steve Harvey was funny at all. Who else? It's a bunch of people that I ain't like. Damn. I said Mike Epps, Chris Tucker, Steve Harvey. Who else? It's a I can't. I don't really like DC Young Fly, but I don't really consider him like a stand-up comedian. Oh, Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence is not funny at all in stand-up. But the show Martin was fire. Any movie he did, he was funny. But you reading off a script like all them boys in I just said, like, they wasn't funny to me in stand-up. I guess because they gotta write their own jokes and all that, they ain't that funny. But when they was on reading from a script, they the best people on the damn show or TV or whatever the hell they doing. But writing their own doing their own thing, it's not funny. I don't understand how people say they funny.
But it was in 2019 where the
Went on a whole
backlash
rant just
reached
then.
new heights. Sticks and Stones released on Netflix in 2019, and Dave didn't hold back
Oh,
on this
2019?
one. Me Too, gun control, opioid crisis, cancel culture, and of course the transgender community. He covered every hot button topic in one special. Sticks and Stones marks a shift. This performance felt way more like a piece of social commentary rather than stand-up comedy, at least in the first half. Now, I think this goes without saying, but comedy is extremely nuanced. Cherry-picking clips and bits can often remove the necessary context that sells a joke. NBC said that today's context-free Twitter culture is preventing Dave from thriving. You're either fighting President Donald Trump or you're a MAGA apologist. You're either believe all women or you're anti-Me Too. And that black and white world is not one in which Dave Chappelle has ever operated. particularly
That's
now.
what all
Many people
comedians
read
do.
headlines and tweets, then form opinions without actually digesting the material.
Yeah,
However, even those who
I do the
did
same
fully
thing
digest the
sometimes.
special still were not impressed. Sticks and Stones registers as a temper tantrum, the product of a man who wants it all: money, fame, influence, without much having to answer to anyone. Forbes chimed in with, Dave Chappelle's Sticks and Stones tries too hard to offend. Comedians have always made
No.
jokes about current societal standards and political climates. Discussing societal issues
a
mixed
lot of
in
the
with
jokes
quips
just
and
ain't
bits
hit,
make their performances
in my opinion.
relatable but not too serious. Dave and many people in defense of comedy argue that nothing is off limits when it comes to jokes, but opposers pick and choose what is allowed to be joked about. At this point, we're re-entering a familiar cycle. Chappelle releases a special on Netflix, he says something incendiary, it's quoted back to him in a headline, and Chappelle reacts to the criticism in another Netflix special. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing. A comedian is not absolved from criticism, and critics don't have to think
That's
someone is funny.
Louis
This
CK,
cycle is a
ain't it?
product of free
Yeah.
speech, and any sane human understands both sides are allowed and should speak their mind. One person who knows that the most is Dave Chappelle, who boycotted his own show because he felt like it. In 2020, Viacom, the owner of The Chappelle Show, licensed the show to Netflix and HBO Max without providing Dave with any compensation and without making him aware of the deal. He was aware that it was legal in the court of law, as it was stated in the contract he signed during the show's initial negotiations,
crazy,
but he
though.
saw the move as unethical. In a video released by Dave titled Unforgiven, he would ask his fans to boycott the show on HBO until he was paid, citing the ethical obligations of Viacom to pay him what he was owed. Since he had such a good relationship with Netflix, he was furious they did this to him because of how badly Comedy Central treated him.
So you know what I did? I called them and I told them that this makes me feel bad. And do you want to know what they did?
Hung up in
They
your face.
agreed.
Oh.
That they would take it off their platform just so I could feel better. That's why I with Netflix.
Dave and his fans praised Netflix for removing the show based on his feelings, but they were shocked when members of the trans community tried to get Dave's special removed because he hurt their feelings. The Closer was his
remember that.
2021 Netflix special where he again made jokes about trans people, as well as anti-gay jokes and defending TERFs. He stated in the special that gender is a fact. In the special's closing moments, he tells a story about his friend Daphne Dorman, who was a trans woman and stand-up comedian, that defended Dave from criticism in his previous special, Sticks and Stones. Punching down requires you to consider yourself superior to another group. Dave Chappelle doesn't consider himself better than me in any way. He isn't punching up or punching down. He's punching lines. That's his job, and he's a master of his craft. Dave claimed that Daphne Dorman received so much hate from her own community that she died by suicide 6 days after the special. Right-wing media went into a frenzy saying the trans community are hypocrites and will destroy their own people. However, there's little evidence that supports Daphne's expiration has anything to do with hate. Back in 2019, that tweet had just 12 replies. Another tweet supporting Chappelle had 9. The Instagram post in which she declared her friendship with Chappelle doesn't have any critical replies. Comments on her Facebook post announcing that she was opening for Chappelle are uniformly positive. So are the ones on Reddit after she posted about it there. She doesn't appear to have said anything on Twitter or Facebook about receiving abuse. Her suicide note doesn't mention bullying, nor do any of the obituaries written after her death. Because of this, many people thought Dave was using someone's death to his own benefit, and the trans community were tired of Dave. Netflix employees interpreted The Closer as hate speech, and 65 employees participated in a walkout in protest of the company. The protest garnered a lot of support online. However, it was generally unsuccessful because Netflix has stood behind Dave, kept his specials up, and continued to work with him in the future. Then things escalated to physical violence against Dave.
Make some noise for hip-hop history.
Boy, they beat the brakes off this boy right here. I ain't gonna lie. They beat the brakes off that boy. It was a rapper that did that, ain't it? I ain't tripping. Yeah, it was a rapper, boy. They beat the brakes off that boy when they took a picture. Oh my God. That was horrible. Boy, they did their job that day, boy. They should have got a raise for that beatdown they gave them. But when you get jumped like that, that's how you're supposed to look. Boy, they beat the brakes off that boy. They beat the brakes off that boy.
Isaiah Lee was the name of the suspect who later...
They beat the brakes off that boy. That's what they were supposed to do. His arm broke. Is his arm broke? That is looking crazy right now. I ain't gonna lie.
admitted why he attacked the comedian.
I identify as bisexual, and I wanted him to know what he said was triggering. I wanted him to know that next time he should consider first running his material by people it could affect.
Isaiah Lee
Ain't
has
nobody
also
don't
been
give a
charged
fuck.
with attempted murder after stabbing his roommate. In a last effort to
goddamn.
take down Dave, a venue in
Crazy.
Minneapolis canceled a sold-out show of his hours before the doors were set to open. We believe in diverse voices and the freedom of artistic expression, but in honoring that, we lost sight of the impact this would have. The event was moved to a smaller venue in the same city and sold out 2 shows back to back. It seemed like the more backlash Dave got, the more it would ultimately help his career. The Closer was nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Variety.
But I think that's where, like, I guess that goes to show, like, all publicity is good publicity somewhat, as long as you don't go too far. Like, let me try to think. As long as you, I guess, like sexual assault and all that, as long as you ain't doing nothing like that, I think a lot of good publicity is good. As long as you ain't doing no crazy shit like sucking blood and shit like that, doing weird Hollywood shit. As long as none of that get out, I think most publicity is good.
Special. To close out the year, Dave took the stage on SNL and delivered the show's opening monologue. And yes, he faced even more controversy. Recently, Kanye West had went on an anti-Semitic rant on social media, to which Dave responded with,
I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time. You know, the rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it.
Despite Dave obviously disagreeing with Kanye, his jokes entertain the possibility that some of what Ye said holds an ounce of truth, which led to even more critics calling Dave anti-Semitic. He ended the monologue with a message.
It shouldn't be this scary to talk about anything. It's making my job incredibly difficult. And to be honest with you, I'm getting sick of talking to a crowd like this. I love you to death. And I thank you for your support. And I hope they don't take anything away from me. Whoever they are.
Some people think that Dave's legacy has been tainted by hardcore transphobia,
Nah.
or trying too hard to be controversial. Even though his comedy has always
He's
toed the
still a
line as to
legend.
what is
He's still a
socially
legend, for
acceptable,
sure.
Dave has benefited greatly from free speech. He has gained hundreds of millions of dollars and die-hard fans around the world, so it's only fair if his opposition can also speak up and voice their opinions and disagreements with his performances. All attempts to silence Dave have been proven unsuccessful, because no matter what, he will always get right back on that stage and speak his mind.